put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords.
Now that's talking about the ancient weaponry that warriors used to have, you know, horses and things like that. We know today through modern technology that would be synonymous with the tanks, machine guns, you know, helicopters, all right, stealth vehicles, armored vehicles.
The missiles, most importantly, the missiles.
Overall,
the missile defense system.
Missile defense system.
You know, it goes into all of that.
Star Wars systems.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Right. It says, verse 5, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet.
Now Persia, that's talking about Iran. You see, it was up to a certain point where they stopped calling themselves Persians, and I believe that was in the early 1900s.
Like 1932.
Yeah, around 1930s or something like that. You can look it up. They stopped calling themselves Persians, and I guess the Shah at that time said, "Look, we're gonna call ourselves Iranians." All right, but you got the Persian Gulf right there to show you that's who that is. So Iran is down with Russia. They make business together. Okay. China, they're gonna be down with Russia, man. You see, all those areas there, dealing with what's that landmass? Well, you know, I did say the land of Turkey. They're gonna be down with Russia. You know, all those nations are gonna be down with Russia. The Egyptians. You know,
right? It goes on naming.
Yep,
it goes on naming.
Yep.
It says Persia, Ethiopia.
Ethiopians, go ahead.
And Libya with them.
Right.
All of them with shield and helmet. Gomar and all his bands.
Now, let me say something about Libya. Just recently, they killed Muammar Gaddafi, right? Why? Because Muammar Gaddafi did away with the dollar. He wanted to do away with the dollar, so they killed him. Just like they killed Saddam Hussein. Why? He wanted to do away with the dollar, bring in his own currency. Yep. They killed him. You see what I'm saying? So Libya, they know that that whole situation that happened there, that was the U.S. did that.
That's right.
You see? Just like Putin was speaking about the U.S. Having their nose and what's going on with Ukraine, that's what they do. They're the devil, man. They're the fucking devil. That's what they do.
The same thing they're doing in Syria. They're responsible for a lot of that bloodshed that's going on over there. Mm-hmm. They've been back. It's coming out that they've been backing the so-called rebels to try to overthrow Assad's regime. All right, they've been behind that. They've been getting certain missiles and giving them all kind of weaponry to overthrow that regime. So they're behind a lot of that innocent blood being shed, man. Mm-hmm. All right. It says Gomar and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them.
Speaking about Russia, that's a strict commandment the Most High gave to Russia.
Yep.
Putin right now is the head of all that. The Most High is when Putin is sleeping, the Most High is sealing his instructions on what to do. You see? So don't be surprised, man, if there'll be a straight up by the end of the summer, a straight up war between Russia and the American-led NATO forces, man. American-led NATO forces, because that's the whore that sits upon the beast. The scarlet-covered beast is NATO, the whore being America, man. And she riding it, you know, leading the NATO forces to go and attack Russia, man. See? So this is good. This is a good article, man. So this is something to keep our eyes peeled on, you know?
Right.
But
okay, it says, after many days thou shalt be visited, in the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm, thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands and many people with thee. Thus saith the Lord power, it shall come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind. Yeah, because basically Israel, those bastards that's over there today, you so-called white people, you Edomites, okay, that's over there in Israel. You're not the real Jews, but you're in that land right now,
right,
dwelling safe. You're in control over there, all right. And eventually, you gonna get inside this battle. They're gonna sit there. They're gonna make their move on you, man. All right, they're gonna make their move on you. But then, not only while they're going down there to attack you, eventually that's when it's gonna come in their mind. The base is gonna be World War III. Okay, the battle's not just gonna be fought on enemy foreign territory.
Right.
They're gonna eventually say, you know what, we're gonna take the war to America. All right, which Lord willing, I mean, in the interest of time, I don't know if we have time to get to it, but it's going. The chapter tells you about that, goes into that.
What?
Right? It says, "Thus saith the Lord power. It shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates."
That's America. Okay? Now I'm going to say this, that physically, Russia doesn't have to come over here, you see? Because how they're going to get America is by drawing them in. You see? They, like the scriptures say, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. That's talking about the so-called Jews, and the so-called Jews are tied in with the U.S. The U.S. gives billions of dollars a year to Israel. So Israel ain't nothing but a satellite of the U.S., you see? So technically, by Russia going to Israel, it's like they're going and attacking America. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. Because if I may say this, because
yeah,
basically, Israel, they already said that they're not waiting for America to approve them to basically strike Iran and a couple of other Arab countries. But now they know if they strike Iran, they know that Iran is backed by who? Russia. Just like which is according to the prophecy. All right, be thou a guard unto them. So that's why they've been holding back, but they pretty much said that they're going to go and strike Iran. And then that's how, like the elder quoted the scripture, I believe Jeremiah said, the least of the flock shall draw them out. That's how Israel's going to bring the United States into that World War III.
Right, America's going to come over, go over there.
They're going to go over there. But then Russia, at the same time, Russia as well as the other nations, that's when the thoughts going to come to their mind. They're going to say, look, you're going to attack America, man. Basically everything, like the old saying, the chickens come home to roost.
Yep.
All this wickedness is wicked globalization that America has done throughout all these other nations is going to turn back on America, and they're going to fire off their nuclear missiles on America. That's what you're reading about in the news when you see all these different the turmoil with Ukraine and over there in Ukraine with Russia, the U.S. sticking their nose in it, over there in Syria, over there in China, okay, and all these other different countries. That's what it's leading up to, ultimately, to the destruction of America, man.
That's right, man.
Okay.
Especially all the atrocities that America has perpetrated against us, against Israel, during slavery and all that shit. They gotta pay for that. The blood hasn't been clean. Yeah. And according to Numbers, it says the only way you can clean that blood is by shedding the blood of him who shed it.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So let's continue in the article, and then we have to close up because the park is closing.
Yeah, plus two.
Yeah.
All right, so I read on the rest of the article.
Can you give them the title of the article? They can read it for themselves.
Yeah, I said it in the beginning.
Yeah.
I'll say it again.
Yeah.
All right, it says, this is Russia, U.S. sanctions, revenge for Ukrainian failure. Moscow may retaliate.
Right, and that's on RT. You can check it out for yourself, you know?
All right, it says, the new round of American sanctions against Russia targets a number of companies, particularly involved in arms production, energy, and finance, as well as several Russian officials. The White House said it introduced the sanctions because Russia had failed to de-escalate the crisis in Ukraine, where Kiev is waging a military crackdown on defiant regions of Donetsk and Lugansk, which formed armed militias and reject the central government's rule. Earlier, Russian President Vladimir Putin warned that sanctions would hurt America too. As for sanctions, they usually have a boomerang effect, and without a doubt will force U.S.-Russian relations into a corner. He explained, this is a serious blow to our relationship, and it undermines the long-term security interests of the U.S. nation and its people.
Right now, that's Galatians 6 and 7. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. So America is sowing these sanctions against Russia. They're gonna reap sanctions back. You see, it's gonna fall right back on them. Now, because of interest of time, we're gonna cut it there. This is just a little quick show on these current events. And Lord willing, we're gonna keep on doing this. Other Menatas like and I, or maybe some other brothers, and you brothers as well. And just keep on doing this, and keep our eyes peeled. This is our duty as watchers to watch the prophecies unfoiling in front of Esau's face. See? So with that, we're gonna say shalom.
Shalom.